Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we said the best talaq is that you give the talaq in a tuhar wherein no jima took place. Now they say ثم قيل الأولى أن يؤخر الإيقاع إلى آخر الطهر احترازا عن تطويل العدة. Now in others, in what time of the tuhar do you give it? So they say it's best that he delays the giving of the talaq to the end of the tuhar, abstaining from lengthening the iddat. So if you give it at the end of the tuhar, then iddat will be 3 days. So that you already cut off a few days there for her. You understand it? So you're not lengthening her iddat. You're giving it the end of the tuhar, and not long after the Hajj will start, then she'll count 1, 2, 3 Hajj. At the end of the third Hajj, her iddat will be finished. وَالْأَظْهَرْ أَن يُطَلِّقَهَا كَمَا طَهُرَتْ. And the more Zahir riwayat is that you should divorce her just as she becomes pak. The moment she becomes pak. لأنه لو أخر ربما يجامعها ومن قصده التطليق فيبتلي بالإيقاع عقيب الوقاع. Right. Because if he delays, if you say must give it at the end of the tuhar, then perhaps he will make jima during that tuhar. Whilst from his intention is to give a talaq. So he will now become involved in giving talaq after jima. And that is makruh. Understand it? So he should actually, so therefore they say he must rather give it the moment tuhar happens so that he don't make a mistake and make jima with her. And then, and he wanted to give a talaq, now he'll give a talaq after jima. وطلاق البدعة أن يطلقها ثلاثا بكلمة واحدة أو ثلاثا بطهر واحد. And the talaq, the third type of talaq is talaqul bid'ah. That is, he divorces her thrice with one word or thrice in one tuhar. فإذا فعل ذلك وقع الطلاق وكان عاصيا. So when he does that, then the talaq occurs and he'll be a sinner. وقال الشافعي رحمه الله كل طلاق مباح. Imam Shafi Rahman say every talaq is permissible. لأنه تصرف مشروع, because it is a legislated transaction. حتى يستفاد به الحكم, so much so that an outcome, a hukam, a rule is derived from it. Right? والمشروعية لا تجامع الحظر, and something that is legislated cannot gather with something that is prohibited. So you say what Imam Shafi Rahman is saying here is that its hukam can't fall and then it's something that's wrong. So in other words, it's something that's legislated, right? But at the same time, you say, how can you say that that thing is wrong, right? بخلاف الطلاق في so then the question comes against him now. So he answers that بخلاف الطلاق في حالة الحيض now, right? So there he also says that is the talaqul bidah, to give talaq in halatul hayd, right? So he answers it now. That he also says if you give talaq in the halatul hayd, it falls, right? But it's a bid'ah talaq. It's a wrong talaq that you gave. But it will fall. He says that. So he has to answer this now. So he says, contrary talaq during hayd. لأن المحرم تطويل العدة عليها. And لا الطلاق, because the thing that's making haram there is the lengthening of the iddat upon her and not the talaq. You understand? So what he's saying there, that there, the talaq is so mashru' and the talaq was permissible. But what made it became haram to give talaq in hayd for another reason. Not because giving talaq itself is haram. The giving talaq itself is permissible. But the reason is because of an outside factor, which is that you are now going to lengthen her iddat. If you look from the Ahnaf aspect, you give talaq in hayd, that hayd is not counted. So she now counts, she has to start counting from the next hayd. So that's lengthening the iddat. وَلَنَا أَنَّ الْأَصْلَ فِي الطَّلَاقِ هُوَ الْحَظْرُ. Our dalil is that the actual thing in talaq, it is prohibition. In other words, we say, he's saying kullu talaqin mubahun. He's saying that talaq is permissible. We say the actual thing in talaq is that it's not allowed. لما فيه من قطع النكاح الذي تعلقت به المصالح الدينية والدنيوية. Because of what is in the talaq, right? From the breaking of the nikah, which dini and dunyawi benefits is connected with it. So therefore, talaq is something that shouldn't be done. It is something that's prohibited. Why? Because you're breaking up you're breaking up a marriage, and that there'll be dini and dunyawi loss, right? وَالْإِبَاحَةُ لِلْحَاجَةِ إِلَى الْخَلَاصِ. And the permissibility is for the need to release. But we only allow it under dire circumstances when there's a need to release. وَلَا حَاجَةَ إِلَى الْجَمْعِ بَيْنَ الثَّلَاثِ. And there is no need to gather between three. There is no need to gather between three. In other words, you do all three one shot, or you do all three in one tuhar, right? وهي وهي في المفرق على الأطهار ثابتة. And the need will be in that which is separated over the tuhars, and it will be in that which is separated over the tuhars established. The need in that which is separated over the tuhars is established. In other words, there is a need when you do it one every tuhar. You got that? There is a need when you do it over the three tuhars, one. Nadran ila daliliha. Looking at the proof of the need. And what's the proof of the need? The proof of the need, we mentioned it yesterday, is that another tuhar comes, and this is a period when he would desire to make wati with her. But still, despite the fact that, he's so angry with her that he feels he needs to give her another talaq. So we give him that opportunity to give another talaq. وَالْحَاجَةُ فِي نَفْسِهَا بَاقِيَةٌ. And this need in itself is still remaining, right? In other words, that is a genuine need. That is a genuine need that at the time the next to her comes, he still wants to give her a talaq, you know, that second talaq, right? فَأَمْكَنَ تَصْوِيرُ الدَّلِيلِ عَلَيْهَا. So, positioning or imagining the proof or applying the proof upon it is possible. Applying the proof upon it, the proof of the need upon it is possible. Because the need is still remaining. What is the need? The need is that when the next door comes, he feels he still wants to give her the second one, right? So now, so what's the proof of the need? The proof of the need is that the next two are coming. So now you can apply it and on the need, right? وَالْمَشْرُوعِيَّةُ فِي ذَاتِهِ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَنَّهُ إِزَالَةُ الرِّقِّ لَا تُنَافِي الْحَظْرَ لِمَعْنًا فِي غَيْرِهِ. Right. So now we answer Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi's statement. What he says, وَالْمَشْرُوعِيَّةُ لَا تُجَامِعُ الْحَظْرَ. So we're answering that now. And that which is legislated from in itself, from the aspect that it removes this bondage or the slavery, right? Doesn't negate it being prohibited due to another factor. And it is that which we have mentioned, that you're going to lose dunya and dini and dunyawi benefits. You understand it? So what this is saying now, yeah? He says something that is legislated cannot gather with something that is prohibited. So we say something could be permissible in itself. In this aspect, how is that it removes this bondage. The woman, obviously, now you must remember the woman is under the man for life. You understand? And so it's like it's like a restriction on her freedom, right? So from that aspect, right, the aspect of removing her from that bondage, right, it doesn't negate this the aspect of it being prohibited through due to other factors, and that is that you're going to lose this benefit, dunyawi and dini benefits. You understand? So if you look at the one aspect of the nikah, yeah, you'll see now that everybody is supposed to be free, right? Everyone's supposed to be free, and they're supposed to be able to decide for themselves. But when a woman goes into marriage, then she goes into a type of she goes into a restricted environment, right? So the talaq from this aspect is that it removes her from this restricted environment, right? So from that aspect, it's legislated because it's removing her from a restricted environment. But that doesn't clash with the fact that by removing her from there, lots of dini and dunyawi benefits are lost, right? وكذا إيقاع السنتين في الطهر الواحد بدعة لما قلنا. And likewise, giving two talaqs in one tuhar is also a bid'ah because of what we mentioned, that there is no need together. واختلفت الرواية في الواحدة الباينة. And the riwayats differ in regards to one buying talaq. In other words, you're supposed to give one raji. We said give one raji in one tuhar, right? Right. So now the riwayat says if you would give instead of a raji, you give باين. So قال محمد رحمه الله في الأصل في أنه أخطأ السنة. Imam Muhammad رحمه الله says in Mabsud that he is gone against the Sunnah. لأنه لا حاجة إلى إثبات صفة زائدة في الخلاص وهي البينونة. Because there is no need to establish an extra quality in the releasing her, and that is her being buying immediately, her being separated immediately. وفي رواية زيادات أنه لا يكره للحاجة إلى الخلاص ناجزا. And in the riwayat of Ziyadat, that it is not makruh because of the need to release immediately. You understand? He's going to have times when he... so we look at two riwayats here. One is saying that to give a bain talaq now, right? Now you want to give your wife a divorce. Now, do you give a raji or bain? We mentioned already the best is to give one raji, right? But now, so therefore, there is now, if you're going to give a one bind, then what's the outcome? The one riwayah says that he has gone against the sunnah because there was no need to you one raji would have done the job. There was no need to give the bind. And the other riwayah say no, there is a need because there's sometimes a need where a man is so angry, he wants to give one that breaks the nikah immediately. He wants to give himself an option of rajat, so he makes the mistake of doing rajat again. You understand it? So he wants to cut it off immediately. So give him, allow him to give the bind. Give it to me.